to the truth will not be silenced. The show that allows people to be seen, to be heard, and to be human. I'm your host, Melissa Woodfork White. In today's episode, we will talk about the heart of marriage, decades of love, with Karen and Donald Bryant. Sharing our stories allows us to encourage, inspire, motivate, uplift, and help people. There will be a special surprise at the end of the show. Be sure to listen all the way through for the details. Our special guests, plural S today, are Donald and Karen Bryant. They were both born in Nashville, Tennessee. Donald is a proud graduate of Tennessee State University, HBCU, where he earned a bachelor's of science degree in political science. Karen is a proud graduate of Howard University, HU, in Washington, D.C., with a degree in pharmacy. Donald is a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Karen is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Donald has been employed with several Fortune 500 companies, from General Motors, Chase Bank, and currently State Farm Insurance. Since graduation, Karen has been employed with Walgreens. Donald and Karen have been married for 28 and a half years and have lived in 4 different states: Tennessee, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and they currently reside in the state of Arizona. Donald loves smooth jazz music, while Karen loves gardening. Both are God-fearing and share a love of traveling and the NBA basketball. Together, they are a well-built, powerhouse married couple who have created the life of their dreams and are living in it daily. Karen and Donald are going to share with us about the heart of marriage, decades of love. Hi, Karen. Hi, Donald. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Melissa, thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
Yes, I am so excited to have this raw conversation with you guys about the heart of marriage, decades of love. We're going to begin with our first question. When did you know you loved and were in love with each other?
So I'm going first. I knew I was in love with Donald after our first summer we spent together, summer of 1993. We spent pretty much the majority of the summer together, talking and just hanging out, and just enjoying the city of Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went back to school in the fall, back to college, I really missed him. I'm like, this guy is the one. And so from then on, we continued dating. So I knew early on. I don't know about Donald.
All right. Thanks,
I knew
Karen.
before,
Let's hear Donald.
yeah, but I knew before Karen.
All right.
And I stick to this story. I prayed to God for the wife for me to have. And I said, Lord, who is this woman that you want me to have? And this woman appeared to me in a dream, and she had on a white coat. And this white coat was like a lab jacket. And I couldn't see her head. I could see the lab coat and heels. That's all I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew from then, I'm like, yeah, I think this is going to be the woman for me, because I'm following God. And 28 years and a half later, look where we are. And by following his will and giving me the wife that I so desired, which she was much more than what I desired. It's been wonderful. But as far as when I knew that I loved her,
Mm-hmm.
when she said to me, she says, hey, Donald, you think while we were dating, you think that we could start dating other people? I said, I don't think so. And she says, well, I just want you to know that, I was for you. And I'm like, I already knew you were for me. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to give anybody another opportunity to ride in on this opportunity of what I have, of this love to be, which I didn't even know what was going to happen. But once I found that out, it was like, wow, this is much better than I thought.
That is amazing, because I will tell you guys this is that My husband knew that I was the one before I knew that he was the one. He said the same thing, similar to you, Donald, that when he saw me, he knew that I was it. He had to meet me. He had to get to know me. He had to be in my presence. He knew that from day one.
Wow.
Before he asked me to marry him, he knew that the next time that we saw each other, that that was it.
Wow.
Wow.
He knew. And so that's why I didn't know till later, Karen. I didn't
Okay.
know till later. Okay. So when I knew later, I had this conversation with my mother.
Mhm.
I had said to my mother, because I've never said to my mother before, this man is going to ask me to marry him the
Mhm.
next time he sees me. And my mother had said, yes, he is. Now, you know, when your mother give you that confirmation, we on the same page, same book, same story. And I was like, well, what if he doesn't ask me to marry him? And she's like, and my mother was like, no, he is. And the next time he saw me, he did. So I was like, it was amazing.
That is
When
amazing.
you wait for the one, it doesn't matter whatever your age is. You guys were at a younger age. You were still in college when you met. I was in my mid 30s when I met Nathan. And
Hmm.
so it didn't matter when you know, you know. And when God is in the mix, the head and the center, you
Yes,
know, you know.
absolutely.
So this leads me to my next question. What is one of the best moments to being married for 28 and a half years? We're going to start there and then we're going to move into my part two of that question. So I want to start there and we want the juicy details. Don't leave out anything.
Oh, well, I don't know if mine is so juicy. My best moment is really my wedding day,
Hmm.
August 1st, 1996. It was, I was just grateful and so happy to go from fiance to wife. I mean, that's a different idea of, just hanging out and going out on dates. And now we're going to live together. We're going to wash our clothes together. And, so that was, really getting married was, the best part for me and all the planning and, getting people from out of town to come in and choosing our colors and the cake. And so just once it was over, it was just, I could just exhale and breathe. But that was like, for me, that was the best thing.
Now, wait a minute, Donald. I have some follow up for Karen.
All
Karen,
right.
for our audience, can
Yes.
you describe for us where we can visualize your wedding? From the flowers to the cake to, can you give us some of those details?
So my colors were peach and mint green,
Okay.
and it had rained earlier that day. And when the wedding was to start about 2:30, it stopped raining, and the church doors opened, and I immediately started crying. So I cried from the end of the aisle to when I got up to Donald. And a couple of things were happening.
Mhm.
My father, who walked me down the aisle, had triple bypass surgery like a month before my wedding. So
Wow.
I was grateful that he was there and could walk me down the aisle. And then I was so happy that I was about to get married. And it was perfect, for me. And I mean, it was small,
Hmm.
intimate. I had two bridesmaids and a maid of honor,
Hmm.
and they were friends from college and high school. And so it was just a 30-minute wedding. So if you were late, you missed it.
I heard that.
But it was a beautiful day, for me.
That is so wonderful. Donald, we're ready for you.
Oh, wow. Well, I can't really say one particular thing
Hmm.
because the journey has been phenomenal to me. To getting to know this woman as my wife, what I learned about her during this journey, and still today, she's my sister.
Hmm.
She's my friend.
Mm-hmm.
She's my lover. She's everything to me. And once I start establishing that she means all of these traits, all these characters of people to me, it only made me get better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I realized once I started spending time with her, she made me feel better to myself. One big thing was she didn't try to change me. So that was huge. That was huge because what I realized is when she didn't do that and the opportunities were there for her to do it, what I realized was I wanted to come back and give her more. I wanted to serve her. I wanted to give to her. I want to make sure she's happy. I feel what she feels. So, through this 28 and a half years, there's so many different things. As
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned earlier on, moving from city, state to state, because with her being a pharmacist, she had to take examinations in every state. So,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that she was willing.
Oh, I did not
Yeah,
know
that she
that.
was willing. That she was willing and able to do those things because now, as we've gotten older, in this 28 and a half years, it's like, Donald, I can't do that anymore. My mind is not the same. And of course, with love, I wouldn't do that to her. You
Yeah.
know, we've worked so hard to get where we are. And for her to, I feel like she's the closest thing to God as far as agape love, that she loves me regardless because I've seen myself in some situations where I would say to her, uh, I'm not feeling my best, but she says, I still love you anyway. When I'm hurting, she makes sure that whatever it is I need to feel well, she makes sure that all that happens. But what she doesn't realize behind all of this is that when she does all this for me, I want to give it back to her tenfold. So that's why I can't say anything in particular. What is one best moment?
Understood. You
Mhm.
all have given us a lot of nuggets, but I'm going to piggyback on two of those. So going back to Karen, when you talk about how you cried from the beginning of the aisle till you got down to the altar, I have to share with me, I was cheesing from ear to ear. I was like, ooh, that's about to be my husband. There wasn't no dry eye. When I say
Mhm.
cheesing in all of our wedding photos, I was like, for the audience that's looking, for
Mhm.
that's watching our
Mhm.
interview, I was like this, going all the way down the aisle. Like I met my husband before I turned 36.
Mhm.
We got married when I turned 38. And
Mhm.
so I had waited for him my entire life. So when I walked that aisle, Karen,
Smiling.
I was like this. Now I will admit, when we renewed our vows at 10 years of marriage, I was boo-hoo-hooing, Karen.
Uh-huh.
I was
See?
boo-hoo-hooing.
Uh-huh.
My dad walked me down that aisle for that second time.
Mhm.
And them tears was coming, girl. That makeup, I had to make sure I had that waterproof makeup on. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I didn't think I was gonna cry when we renewed
Mhm.
our vows because I didn't cry when we got married because I
Right.
was just like ear to ear. But because we've had that 10 years, Donald, all
Yes,
of those moments, it
Mhm.
just hit me.
I
Every
believe.
last one of those blessed moments, it just hit me.
That's
And
great.
that coming from your story, Donald. Everyone needs to know that when you get married, it's not about changing each other. It's about growing and learning together.
That's right.
And it's up to you as the individual person you are if you want to make that changes. You exemplify that down to a T. When you had said that Karen doesn't try to change you, but she gives you the room where you can make those changes yourself. And I think that that is crucial. One of the crucial keys to being married for 28 and a half years. You're not trying to change each other. You're growing. You're learning together
See.
as all of those things that you said, best friend, wife, lover, sister, all of those growing and learning together.
That's right.
So now this is taking me into the second part of this question. What is one of the most challenges that you all have faced during your decades? That's multiple years of marriage.
I'm going to go first on this one.
All right.
When we moved to Michigan, Donald was working for General Motors, and this job required traveling. So every week, Monday to Thursday or Friday, he was gone. And then he'd come home for the weekends, and the weekends just was not enough time to do family things, hang out, go to church, and then he's packing up to leave again Monday morning. And this took place for years. And so I said, I didn't marry you to be single. And so when we got to almost 3 years of that, we relocated to Arizona, which was great. For me, he started working for Bank One, which is now JP Morgan Chase, and he was working in a bank. And then he moved downtown to the, I guess, corporate office. Then all of a sudden, he got another job in their automotive division, and he was traveling again. I'm like, really? Is this happening again? So, I guess he probably did that for a year or so.
2 or 3 years.
Okay, maybe 2 or 3 years.
So we're
And
talking
so,
about a total of 6+ years
traveling.
Wow. Go ahead,
And
Karen.
so we had to have a tough conversation. And I really needed him to be present with me in the same city. And so he found a job. So happy to say, 11 years later, he has been with State Farm. So he's been in the city for 11 years. So,
all right. Yes.
Yeah, but that was a challenge for me. I'm like, this is ridiculous. But, I knew he wanted the job. He enjoyed the freedom of the job, the company car, and,
expense account.
That was nice. The perks were nice, but it wasn't great for us.
I love the fact that you said that you had one of those hard conversations, because being married, we have some hard conversations. It's not a lot, but we have some hard conversations, those heart to hearts where we got to do something together.
Yes.
I absolutely love that. But Donald, before you jump in, this reminds me of how when me and Nathan first got married, we're from 2 different countries. He's from England. I'm from the United States. They each have their laws for when you get married. And so we couldn't live in the same country as each other until we had the proper paperwork to do so. And so it was a lot of flying back and forth for the first year of our marriage until one of us got our stay papers. And we had said, okay, so we both applied for the marriage visa where we can stay, he can stay in the United States or I can stay in England. And we said, whoever's government processes the paperwork the fastest, that's where we go. And so England got it first. And so I was out, and I couldn't wait to be out because we were traveling back and forth. And when I say I've never traveled so much in and out of the country, and I was at a younger age then. So with that being said, I had the energy to do that. I don't think that I could do that now. And so I would literally fly out here. I would take off a Friday from school and a Monday from school. I would fly out Friday and be back on a Monday. And then when he would come, same thing. And we did that for months, back and forth, because we just wanted to be together. So from that angle, I totally get that, Karen. What about you, Donald?
Well, for me, it was a little bit more emotional.
Okay.
Karen and I, we had gone through a miscarriage once. But then the second time we went through a miscarriage, she invited me to go with her to the doctor. She was so proud, and so was I. We're going to hear our baby's heartbeat. And when we got into the room and the doctor, started the examination, and she put the stethoscope down to her stomach, And she said, she looked at Karen, she looked at me and said there was no heartbeat.
Mm.
And I looked at Karen, and it was the most painful, emotional
Yes.
ride being in that room. It was so difficult for me. And it was, I'm sure it was more difficult for her because it was her body. But I've never been in a situation where and I'm glad that I have never been in a situation like that, other than with my wife, uh,
Mhm.
that we were able to grow from that. But it hurt so bad. I told her, I said, I can't go through this anymore. God's got to do something. And we talked about, children. We talked about, biologically having a child, but at the same time too, we talked about adoption. But as time went on in our marriage, we became a little bit more selfish in our lifestyles. And we're like, we don't know if we can really give to a little one because of the life that we're living. So we kind of grew from that, but it was so emotional and so painful for me. And that was something that was difficult for me with her.
Mm. I'm fighting back tears right now because of the simple fact I had no idea. You just totally just blew me away. And I know the audience is probably in awe too. That takes a lot of courage to share something so personal, so deep um, with us. And I'm going to tell you that your sharing has helped me because I still can't talk about mines. I'm still not at a space where I can talk about that the way you just talked about it. I can't.
Mm.
I'm not there yet. And so I just appreciate you having the courage to just share that. And Karen, I appreciate you for allowing him to share that
Because I couldn't.
because so so you couldn't. So
Mm-mm.
he was able to. Nathan still can't talk about it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so we're both in the same space.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so, but I can say we're looking at other avenues because after having Karen gone through those experiences multiple times
Mhm.
and the wear and tear on our bodies, Karen,
Yeah.
and then because we are human beings
Mhm.
with the spirit of God in us,
Right.
Mhm.
we start to question, are we gonna have kids? Are we supposed to have kids? Are we supposed to have another baby? Are we supposed to? You know what I'm saying? You start to question, and that starts to seep in. And then you go back, Donald, once you get out of your flesh and
Mhm.
you allow your spirit to rise above your flesh, then you go back and be like, God doesn't make mistakes. He knows what's best for us. He knows what we want. He knows the desires of our hearts before we do. And we have to trust and believe in that.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so that's why we were looking at other avenues because my body can't take it anymore. My body can't take it anymore. And so
Mhm.
because I still have the energy and Nathan still have the energy, so I will share that we are looking into adoption to have another child.
That's
And
good.
so
Yes.
and it's just one of those things. And it's like people don't ever know what people are going through or why they have children and can't have any more children or why they've never had children. People just don't know. And I'm
Right.
just like, we got to be kind to each other and we have to give each other grace
Mhm.
because everybody's journey is not the same.
Absolutely.
And so I thank you guys so much for sharing that. You guys had me do my first tears. I'm like, you just totally caught me off guard, Donald. You totally caught me off guard. But I just so appreciate you guys. So, and thank you both so very much. That leads us into our next question. How does sharing your story today help others? Well, I just said how it helps me, but I want you guys to share the best advice that you can give married couples or those who are getting married, like engaged to be married, and those who want to get married, like they're waiting. waiting for that right one, the right person. What advice can you give them? Karen, we're going to start with you, and then Donald, we're going to wrap up with you.
I hope sharing a bit of our story to your viewers realize that marriage is work.
Yes.
It requires communication, compromise, and a true respect for the other person. You can always say, "Well, I'm in love," but you have to respect the individual um, as well. And I would advise all couples that want to get married to go to premarital counseling, because I believe counseling with the objective third party person can go through these scenarios that you're going to have when you get married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it could be, managing money, because you can't have two spenders in the household or you'll be in debt before it's,
Yes.
dealing with in-laws,
Mm-hmm.
dealing with intimacy, dealing with future goals, like where you want to be in 5 years or 10 years. What are your morals, your ethics, your values? Because, they should align, somewhat. Dealing with loss of a family member.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I truly think counseling can open your eyes to certain things that you've never even thought about. And that was important for us to do premarital counseling. And it doesn't have to be, spiritual, counselor,
Yes, I'm so.
but at least someone that can open your eyes and introduce you to things that are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
May not, think, oh, it won't happen to us. I just love this guy. Oh, yeah, it's going to happen. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for that, Karen. Donald, you got 2 minutes. Go.
Oh, I'm easy. I'm easy. Yeah. When you're searching for the person that you want to spend your life with, make sure it's the right person for you. Make sure that you're committed to the relationship. Make sure you're dedicated. Understand when you're married, you're one. You're not two individuals, even though you see two individuals, but when she hurts, I hurt. When she cries, I cry. When she celebrates, I celebrate. So you want to make sure that when you find the right person, that you can give your all. This person, you're treating this person like you treat yourself. It's I mean, I can't explain a whole lot of it to you because you gave me 2 minutes. So I can't mess this up here. So, but yeah, my 2 minutes is about up. But no, it's seriously, you want to make sure when you find the right person that you are committed no matter what. And that's what we said in our relationship. No matter what, we're not going to divide this union. Because one big thing that she shared with me, and I'll say this real quick, she says, if you have a problem, if you have any inkling, she was vulnerable enough to open up to say, hey, Donald, come and talk to me. And, that did worlds of wonder to me because she gave me permission. And don't be afraid to have permission from your loved one because it will open up many doors that you would never think that could be open. So
Thank you. All of those is wonderful. I'm literally trying to keep myself together here, so we're just going to go ahead and wrap this up. You guys have moved me so much, and I just appreciate you sharing, you being here today. And like Karen had said, just sharing a glimpse, sharing a moment into your 28 and a half year marriage. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Next week, we'll continue to discuss and share about real life experiences, both personal and professional. Stories that need to be shared, seen, and heard that makes us human. The truth will not be silenced, to be seen, to be heard, and to be human. The surprise, if you like or leave a positive comment about our show, you will get a shout out. This includes businesses, services, organizations, and events. Following the link in the show notes lets Buzzsprout know we sent you and help support our show. Buzzsprout is the best way to launch a professional podcast. Want to ask a question, be a guest, or subscribe to our podcast, The Truth Will Not Be Silenced? Click on the show link. Thank you so much for joining us.